it's definitely what we end up doing a lot of is going back, getting that original data, and a big part of forensics is any of your procedures, any of my processes, they have to be, they have to be, one, discoverable, right? I have to be able to tell, what we did, but they also have to be repeatable. Otherwise, it's not science, right? If I can't repeat it and get the same results, it's not science. So yeah, so when we get that data from a defensive lab or a forensics lab, we run back through the same process. We check their math. It's a triangulation thing. If there's more towers available, or there's other towers that may have seen a device at the same time, to get a better picture and to basically ensure that that those numbers meet up. And oftentimes, state forensics lab, things like that, they're thousands upon thousands of cases behind. They don't have the luxury of spending 3, 4, 5 weeks of time really bearing down on some data. So they get the results that they need to move the case forward, and they don't have an opportunity to go and look at that larger picture. So that's where we come in, is we can spend that time to look at the larger picture. It's hard in today's environment to ever really get rid of data, because there's so many places where things are getting backed up. We see this all the time in litigation involving companies and things like that. Folks don't really realize how the IT department in their company is working all the time to make sure that corporate data gets backed up, doesn't get lost, doesn't get destroyed. So oftentimes folks are unaware that their IT department is on a regular daily basis, or even sometimes every few hours, collecting bits of information off of their computers, and in some cases their cell phones, if they're company phones, things like this, and backing up just to ensure that the company records are safe. And that, for us, of course, in discovery, becomes a whole lot of places to go looking. Have you discovered any risks in actually using computer data in litigation?
Well, interestingly enough, a lot of times what you'll have is clients who maybe didn't obtain data with the proper process, and so it would expose themselves, or they could potentially expose themselves to a number of different issues, including contempt of court, criminal prosecution for unauthorized computer access.
Right.
And I just ran into that issue not too long ago in a criminal situation where a person obtained some very exculpatory pieces of information from a cell phone that he shouldn't have had access to. And so the question is, well, what do you do with that information? Well, obviously you don't want to jeopardize the client's liberty or the client's case, but and you also have to protect the data, but then it's like, all right, well, how do you put the toothpaste back in the tube? You can't, and it is exculpatory material that was uncovered, so it's certainly something that helps the client. So you've got to definitely balance all those needs, and you have to, of course, be mindful of the rules of professional conduct as a lawyer.
Right.
You can't encourage someone to hack into someone else's computer to get the data, and there's certainly, I think that's where you come in, is there's a legal process to go through, and that's what you should do to obtain that information, is go through the proper legal process and discourage clients from taking matters into their own hands.
Yeah, we tend to see that sort of activity a lot in family law cases. People get kind of overzealous, a little agitated, which is understandable. Those are tough situations, custody involved of children, things like that. And yeah, we see that happen with folks. I think the proper word is stealing devices from a spouse or things like this. And
borrowing, I think it's
borrowing.
Not
Is it borrowing?
You
it's not
have to
actually
intend to permanently deprive.
Right,
so
there you go. Let's call it taking devices that might not belong to them in an attempt to gather information and things like that. And yeah, we have to discourage that, return it. And I'm sure you do the same thing. We go out of our way to make sure that this is actually your cell phone. This is actually your computer, right? Telling people, even if you know how to log into somebody's email account, you shouldn't do this.
One of the interesting things that I have found in just private practice as a whole is the existence of video imaging, and videos just sort of pervasive in our life. Do you guys do any work with video surveillance, video doctoring, editing, changing, adjusting, and also explaining a bigger, broader context for what we see in videos. Because a lot of times you'll see a video and the video will kind of capture something. And so the question you're always left with as a lawyer is, well, does that really show everything, or was there something that happened off video that I need to sort of highlight?
Right, well, and and that video data presented from one angle or one position or one snippet of that video can look very damning, right? But again, it's one of those questions of taking it into context. Oftentimes we come into quality of the video, light sources, things like this. So what from one camera at a distance may look, like an obvious situation. If you have another camera position or something like that, or a different light source lighting it, a different camera position, things like this, you realize this is what it looked like from here and what it looked like 30 feet closer is a completely different situation going on. We see that on a fairly regular basis when we have an opportunity to get multiple camera positions in. That, and then just manipulation of the camera, anything from frame speed to light and dark and different hues and tones and things like this can make a huge difference in what you can actually see. So by darkening out the individuals, but by highlighting metallic objects and things like that, in the video can make a whole difference in what you see going on in the actual videos. There's a lot of things that video experts do. Frankly, it's kind of amazing how many different things they can show you out of one piece of video that can really make a difference.
Right.